There are weekends when you can do everything perfectly and you feel like you did everything you possibly could and you finish sixth. You do your job, and if you're in the middle of a race and you've made a mistake, you pretend that it's a sim race. Someone made that mistake and then you get in and you have to fix it. I've seen your videos.
Oh, wow. That's shocking. Everyone is telling me that they've seen my videos, not that they like my videos.
No, I like your videos.
No, it's okay. You don't have to say that. All right. But Nolan Siegel, driver of the number 6, Aaron McLaren, Chevrolet. I just watched you, I think, do 500 autographs.
I signed 150 bobbleheads of myself. So that was terrifying.
When I saw you doing that, there were like 200 bobbleheads of Nolan Siegel bobbleheads laid out on the table. That is my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Seeing 200 like tiny versions of myself just staring right back at me.
The army of me. And plus there's the life-size one. It's just it's a bit much. It's a bit much, to be honest. But you know what? If people like them, then we're here for the people.
As everybody knows, won the 24-hour Le Mans at age 19 in the LMP2 class. How does it feel to peak in high school?
Well, I'd already graduated at that point, so I was past, but hopefully that's not my peak. I'm hoping that that's not my peak.
I'm joking. I'm totally joking.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You know what? It happens to a lot of people. It's a common thing. And you know what? If I'm part of that group, I'm part of that group. I'll do what I don't know.
No, but I think it's so incredible. Like, and I know you've probably done a million interviews about the experience of winning the 24-hour Le Mans, and it's such an incredible achievement. I guess my question is, do you think another person alive today will ever achieve the Triple Crown again?
It was much easier, I think, in the day when like there were people going back and forth from F1 to IndyCar kind of all the time.
Right.
Now, I don't see any reason why. I think it would be much harder to go from IndyCar and then get a ride in an F1 car and win Monaco. Like that would be, you don't really do one-off Monaco Grand Prix.
Fair.
But people do one-off Indy 500s and one-off Le Mans. So, like, I think, I for sure, I think an F1 driver could come and do the 500.
Alonso is probably the closest out of all the drivers. Yeah. He's won, I believe, twice in the top category at Le Mans. Has won the Monaco Grand Prix. Has tried to run the Indy 500 a few times with McLaren, unsuccessfully. But regardless, not thinking about the logistics of like how difficult it is to get an F1 seat and even get a drive in WEC or IndyCar, what do you think is just skill-wise the hardest Triple Crown race to win?
Oh, that's a good one. I feel like it just depends on the situation you're in.
Okay.
And all of them, I would say probably the 500.
Okay.
I think the 500 requires a lot more to just go right for you. Where like Le Mans and Monaco, it seems well, Le Mans is really hard too. And
sure.
I think if you're in the right situation and you execute really well, Monaco and Le Mans can you can win like other races, you know? Like you have a good race weekend, everything goes right, you execute properly and you'll have a shot at it. Mm-hmm. The 500, I feel like you can come and do everything right and still like something can go wrong and it can ruin your race. And at the same time, like, you can win on fuel strategy. And like it just, I feel like there are more variables in the Indy 500.
Everybody who is in the IndyCar series essentially like dominated growing up in karting in the latter series coming up to this point. You are the best of the best to be able to get to this level and to Indy Next and then the NTT IndyCar series. Can you talk about the shift from being having a results-oriented mindset to having a process-oriented mindset? When you're coming up, your validation and your happiness comes from the wins and it comes from the podiums and the results. And when you come to a series where it's much more competitive and everybody has done that coming up, like how do you switch from focusing on the process as opposed to what the end result is? Yeah,
that was kind of a shock coming to IndyCar, and people asked what the biggest difference was, and the difference isn't the car or the tracks or the length of the race. The difference is just how competitive it is here, and it's true. Like there are weekends when you can do everything perfectly, and you feel like you did everything you possibly could, and you finish sixth.
Yeah,
it's like that's all you had. Then like there were just people that were better. So. I feel like for me, the focus has been very much just on executing everything well. And if the result is really good and I feel like there was more, like I'm upset about it.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like Barber was a really good weekend for us and it was kind of a breakthrough weekend, qualified in the Fast Six. And like I left that weekend disappointed because I felt like there was more we could have done and we could have finished better.
Yeah.
And then, there are other weekends where the result isn't very good, but I feel like everything went really well and I drove well and we executed well as a team and you leave that satisfied. So I feel like if you can do everything right every weekend, some weekends aren't going to go your way, and then some will. Yeah. But you just put yourself in a position to succeed more often.
Andre Lauderer drove in Super Formula, Formula E, WEC, and I'm paraphrasing this quote. He said, being a race car driver, this is the dream job, but the majority of the time we are deeply unhappy. Do you feel like that statement is accurate?
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing, though, is you always feel like there's something you could have done better. Yeah. Nobody ever has a perfect weekend.
Sure.
Maybe Pillow. I don't know at this point, but I don't think anyone really has a perfect weekend, and you leave and you're like, man, I could have done something better. You win and you're like, I could have won by more. I could have made that easier on myself. And it's true, there are really satisfying moments, but I think that's what makes those moments so satisfying, right? For me, last year, don't qualify for the Indy 500 and it's horrible and had a horrible go at it, and then you win Le Mans, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then a week later, have a bad weekend again, and you're back down in the dumps. It's just such an up and down sport in terms of emotions. You do your job, and if you're in the middle of a race and you've made a mistake, you pretend that it's a sim race. Someone made that mistake, and then you get in and you have to fix it. And it's that was a different person. Forget about it. Go forward. And I think that's a good. Obviously, it's great to be able to celebrate successes, and I think in some ways it's good to be disappointed and want to push for more. Yeah. But if you get too caught up in the emotions of it, it's just such a roller coaster that you just exhaust yourself.
I'm very fascinated with the process of how you guys review after the race, post-race. Do you watch other drivers on boards? Do you watch the broadcast? How do you analyze your performance and other drivers' performance post-race?
I obviously watch my stuff, and then I have access to my teammates, and then with the broadcast cameras, we get a select few other cars. So, and generally the cars with the cameras are pretty strong cars. So we have a lot of data to go through, and if anyone did something particularly interesting, obviously I'll go and watch that. The broadcast, I feel tells you a lot, and for me, I always like understanding the strategy a little bit. I feel a little lost if I'm in the car and I don't know what's going on from a strategy standpoint. So I watch the broadcasts, and then you get a full picture of hey, this worked, these people did 2 stops, these people did 3 stops, this is how the 3 stoppers made it work, and you can just get a bigger picture, I think, than watching one person's onboard.
What about in the race itself? Do you like when your team is communicating to you what the other cars are doing strategy-wise?
Very much. It's really easy. Just like it's easy watching the broadcast to get confused about hey, this person was in 15th and now they're leading. How'd that happen? And it's a weird pit cycle. In the car, there are moments like that too, where you're in a pack of cars, everyone stops and you don't, and you're now I'm by myself, what just happened? Or a car comes out of pit lane and it's a car I haven't seen the entire race. How did I end up next to this person? And it's good to have a reference of how all of that's happening. And hey, we're saving fuel, so we're doing the 2 stop and we're on this tire, and this person's been pushing on the reds, and that's why they're a second and a half faster than you right now. It can get confusing, but that's where the communication comes in.
Have you changed your autograph since you had to start doing this?
Yeah, so it's funny. There have been a few people that have brought me hero cards from when I started on the road to Indy when I was 15 years old. Yeah, and it's you can't even tell it's my signature. I would not know that was my signature if it didn't have my face on it.
But was it a well thought out one? Was it did it take 20 seconds to make the signature?
No, well, so the signature started out. I started out actually writing my whole name
right here, by the way.
And then I realized that it took too long.
Okay.
And then it became NS and the squiggle, and now it's just NS squiggle. I try not to make it different every time, but if you look at the 500 autographs, I'm sure they're all different every time. So my penmanship is not that good, but that's not what I'm here for.
This autograph analysis is brought to you by the good people at Mission Tortilla, the official tortilla of Arrow McLaren. I asked Christian, because he's from Denmark, if he had ever read Hamlet. Yeah. And the reason I asked him is because Hamlet, one of Shakespeare's most famous plays, takes place in Denmark. And so I asked him to read some Hamlet for me. Will you read some lines from Hamlet?
I would love to read. This is going to really bring me back to my middle school Shakespeare unit.
Wait.
Man, I was in a Shakespeare play.
You were in middle school Shakespeare?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, you were a theater kid?
No, we did a Shakespeare unit. We were forced to do it. I didn't sign up specifically for the...
Wait a minute. Shakespeare unit sounds like an army patrol that is wearing wigs.
No. It was a Shakespeare, there were a couple weeks when everyone read Shakespeare and then did a little play at the end.
It's we have a situation, call in the Shakespeare unit. Yeah. Okay, so did you like doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is so uncomfortable. Okay, ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
If it be now, 'tis not to come. If it be not to come, it will be now. If it be not now, yet it will come. The readiness is all.
Wow, I feel like that is actually apt for racing, is it not?
Though this be madness, yet there is method in it. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow, as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man.
That was beautifully done.
Thank you. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him. Horatio, a fellow of infinite jest. Shakespeare's not that easy to read.